What is Vin's walkout song for the gym?
Oh, there's this song called
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of 50T5. We're being local business owners, community champions, and all around amazing individuals on the show to learn more about them, their stories, or business in a quick and effective way. We have a community champion on the show today, that is for sure, my friend Vin Cannarelli, and we are going to start the clock as we do with 5 rapid fire questions for our guests, and then we'll get into learning about our guests a little more. Vin, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, Steven. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us here. We're going to start
Yeah.
right off the bat just because I know how we want to take this conversation. This question is going to lead us into that.
Okay.
What does chasing happiness mean to Vin, and how has that reshaped Vin's day-to-day life?
Chasing happiness means abandoning the approach of chasing money, which I
Ooh,
think,
I like that.
yeah, I don't think I'm alone in this. Myself and probably a lot of people grew up being mentored to go find a job that pays well with good benefits and comfortable and job security indefinitely and all that. And when you're young, that's the only path you know is the one that is being presented to you. And I started to go down that road. So,
Mm.
yeah, when I started to receive
Well, we'll jump into
message.
the details after.
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
jump into
yeah, yeah. Don't
because
chase
I
money,
want to I
chase
want to
happiness. Yeah.
yeah, I want to jump right through that. All right. Question number 2. If you could pick any song that every single time you walk into the gym every day like a champion, that song strikes your walk-in song every single time, whether you're going there to work or you're going there to work out. What is Vin's walkout song for the gym?
Oh, does it have to be like a gym song or just a
Whatever
song
you
that
want
gets?
it to be.
There's this song called "Courts" by TV on the radio that it's kind of my song of, and I'm actually going to go see them at the end of November in New York City live, so it's going to be pretty cool.
Love it. Love it. Question number 3. One wellness hack that you think everybody should know and try.
Just keep going. Consistency. You're
Mm.
going to stumble. There's going to be brief periods of having to take a break. Just get back on the horse and keep going. Those temporary short-term breaks, they in the end of it doesn't mean anything in the long run. Just keep going.
All right. Love that. Question number 4. This is what all the viewers are here for. Take us through Vin's ideal day, start to finish. You can draw up the perfect day from
Yeah.
start to finish. The moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, what does that look like?
All right. So, you wake up without an alarm. Whenever you wake up, you wake up. That's how I feel the best. I go to the bathroom. I go for prefer Ideal day. I go for an hour to 90-minute walk outside. No phone, no music, just breeze, sunshine, casual stroll, no rush. Come back in, probably make some coffee, take a shower, drink a lot of water, do Wordle and some Sudoku games, just get my mind going. After that, ooh, it'd be nice to, you know what an ideal day would just go hang out at a cafe outside for a little while and just observe. I mean, I'll have my phone tinker on it, but just observe people walking by. I like to people watch a lot. Probably go for more walks, get some TV time at some point, get a workout in at some point, definitely at least 45 minutes. Probably some more TV time. And then yeah, that'll take us all the way to the wind down routine. Spend an hour reading a book, maybe 90 minutes reading a book, lights out, no phone hour before bed, no nothing, no technology, dim lights, and then slumber. No wake up alarm the next day.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Last question.
Yeah.
You have to choose one, cardio or strength training.
Mmm. That's a good one. Oh, preferably probably strength training. Probably strength training. No context because there's a lot of different ways you can do strength. I get my walks in. That can be considered low level cardio, and I'll put a weight vest on, like a 10-pound weight vest or 20-pound weight vest. That's great cardio because it stresses your system, but you're not like dripping sweat. You're not breathing super, super heavy. There's times
Sure.
for the heavy breathing stuff, but definitely a good hour or so of strength, and then just walking, lots of walking.
Love it.
Yeah.
Survived the first 5 questions. I know we want to dive into a few topics that we talked about, but before we do that, for anybody that's meeting you for the first time here, tell us who you are, what you do, just a brief bio, and then we'll get into the topics we want to talk about.
All right, I'm Vin Cannarelli. I am the Director of Member Onboarding at Mohawk Valley Wellness, local wellness center that's not just a gym, it's quite a bit more than that. I also am a certified L1 CrossFit coach, so I coach a couple classes a week. I also coach another program that's similar to CrossFit. It's derived from CrossFit, but it's lower intensity, no high skill gymnastics, no Olympic weightlifting. It's all free weights, kettlebells, dumbbells, bands, body weight, cardio. Think of it like a boot camp, but with a heavy CrossFit flair. I don't really want to relate it to boot camp, but I think a lot of people can connect the dots between boot camp and CrossFit.
Sure.
And then I also teach yoga once a week at In Bloom Yoga, right next to Cavallo's, or what is about to no longer be Cavallo's, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's perfect overview. I want to kind of dive in the conversation around the first question, which I probably should have put for the last, but I didn't. That
that's
is
okay.
what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you and I have gotten to know each other real well over, I'd say, maybe the last 4 or 5 years,
Mhm.
being a member of the gym, but also me and I, and just the community and different things. If I had to sum up, if someone said, "Tell me about that person," I think chasing happiness is the first thing that comes to mind.
Mhm.
And I think now more than ever, there's a focus on that. There's a focus on mental health. There's a focus on, doing what makes you happy. And you talked about not chasing the paycheck. Tell us your journey around that story and how it brought you to where you are today, what you do today for work with Mohawk Valley Wellness, and that story.
Yeah, so right out of high school, I started working for a local sign company, Sirianni Signs. They did the Utica Club sign over the brewery. They'd done the new Revere Copper sign that just got greenlit on 4th of July. It's my uncle's company too, so it was a real easy transition into that. Work summers there, and it was a great job. I at that time I definitely needed to make more money, and I needed some more job security. So I ended up taking a job with MetLife over in Oriskany, and I worked there for 6.5 years. And after the first year was great. It was nice to be inside in a climate controlled room. I didn't have to expend all this energy. Sign crafting and sign installations, very physically demanding job. So it was nice to go inside and just be at a desk all day. I liked computers a lot at that time. It's not that case anymore, but and then after a year, I started to feel the early onset of just corporate fatigue. Uh, it's not a place where you can really be an individual. You're kind of just a cog, or part of the cog, anyways, and you got to play by the rules. And I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have a lot of marketable skills. I had a degree. I had an undergrad, and I felt trapped. Restless, helpless, kind of. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. So I stayed for 5.5 more years, and the fatigue just got worse and worse and worse. I got more mentally shot. And during this time, I went back to school to get my graduate degree. I had a second job at what was Lava, working on the weekends there, bartending. And at one point, I started doing Uber on top of that, and I started messing around with some other things. So I was working like anywhere between 3 to 4 jobs at once, making tons of money collectively. But I was absolutely physically, energetically, spiritually, I was shot. I was starting to get extreme depression. My family could tell. I would barely talk when I go to family functions. Like I even saw my grandma cry at one point. She saw how down I was, and I didn't know what to do about it. And during this time, I started seeing a local shamanistic energy healer. Her name's Susan. You could boil it down to, she is someone you go to talk to about how to have a healthier ego, how to have better relationships with people, how to navigate life, how to building personal tools so that you can navigate it yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you look at yourself in the mirror. I guess you could call her a life coach, but that's definitely not her title. And during my time working with her, she was mentoring me, and I still see her, by the way, every month, but she was mentoring me on why being in the environment I was in and working all these jobs wasn't serving me at all. I am a creative at heart, and all these ways I was making money did not allow any creativity whatsoever. I couldn't express
Mm-hmm.
myself in any way. And she really started to helped me learn how to point the mirror back at myself and see why that wasn't good for me. And eventually, I did end up leaving MetLife. I took another job at a SEO firm called Road Digital, search engine optimization, and it was significantly better. It was in a loft environment, casual wear, make your own hours. You know, you kind of do it. It was closer to what I needed, but at the end of the day, it ended up being an office job where you're just in front of a computer all day. And she's continuing to mentor me like, this isn't the right path for you. I can tell. I know it's not. And she's like, now it's time for you to realize this isn't the right path for you. And I was already going to Mohawk Valley Wellness at that time. It was called CrossFit Mohawk Valley. And I was also taking consistent yoga classes at In Bloom. And she subtly in the beginning started to help me to see why maybe the health and wellness sphere was a better path for me, or maybe just something to look at. And during that time when things were getting, I was still pretty rocky mentally, but I was starting to scratch the surface of what was going to be very helpful for me. And one day, John Bartholomew, the owner of Mohawk Valley Wellness, came up to me. He's like, "Vin, you want to coach class? I've started this new program. It's called Mohawk Valley Fitness. That's the kettlebell dumbbell class. I need help growing it. I don't have any coaches. Do you want to come coach a couple classes a week after work?" And I was like, "What's it look like?" And he kind of is like, it's 3 or 4 hours a week, 45-minute classes. You're going to be mentored in the beginning, and then you'll be on your own." And in that same week, an opportunity came up to go into yoga teacher training. And one of my yoga teachers at the time was kind of nudging me that it might be a good move for me. I had a pretty dedicated yoga practice at the time. I was going very consistently. I really was curious and interested about it. And I wanted to get better at yoga. I didn't necessarily want to be a yoga teacher, but I wanted to get better at yoga. And I asked him, how can I get better at this? What are some things I can do? He's like, take teacher training. This was the same week that John offered me a position to coach classes. And at first I didn't realize the connection between the two, but with the work I was doing with Susan, I was like, the universe is sending me signs. Like, these two opportunities came to me. I did not pursue them.
Sure.
And I talked to Susan about it, and she's like, do it, or at least consider it, for all intents and purposes. So I was like, John, yeah, let's start coaching. Let's see what it's like. And that same week, I signed up for yoga teacher training, which was going to become a 9-month process. That's a long process, becoming a yoga teacher. And I, first week of coaching, I think it happened this fast. The first week, I left my day job at the SEO firm, exhausted, strung out, still pretty depressed. I coached this class, and when I got done coaching, I had more energy than I had the entire rest of the day, even before work. Like, I got energy from coaching. Like, it brought me
Sure.
back to life almost. And I was like, whoa, there's something here. And I started coaching every week, and I was going through the yoga teacher training, and I don't remember at the exact point in time, but it all at once I was like, I need to get out of the office. There is something in this health, fitness, and yoga world that is really deeply speaking to me. And it was probably within the next couple weeks, maybe the first month or two, I was like, that's it. I got to make a change. I think this is it. All the signs are pointing to yes, do this. So I made the decision, personally made the decision. I didn't vocalize it to many people at that time, but I was like, all right, over the next however many months it takes, I'm going to get out of debt. I was in a ton of debt at the time, credit cards, all this other stuff. And I read, by recommendation from John Bartholomew, I read The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, consumed the whole book. I was like, I'm doing the debt snowball. And 9 months later, I was out of debt. And I think I was still bartending on the weekends, making tons of money. That's a really lucrative industry if you want to make quick cash. And I still had the gym as a source of income. I had Uber as a source of income. I think I was selling CBD oil as an independent contractor. I had all these sources of income, which was good because I needed a way to still make money while I pursued these passions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to take a pretty lofty pay cut leaving the SEO firm. So I felt secure enough with like 4 or 5 other income streams that I was going to be able to make it happen. I just needed to get out of debt. So I got out of debt. Other than my mortgage and my car, I think I didn't have a car payment at the time. So I simplified the means of living. 9 months went by and I was like, all right, I'm ready. And I walked into the boss's office at the SEO firm and I was like, it's time. I'm gonna move on. And
So
two
let me
weeks
stop you
later,
right there. So
yeah,
at that point, because we just have a few minutes left here, and I want to
sure.
dive into that a little deeper. At that point of saying, like, okay, taking a pay cut, whatever it is, scary jumps, all of that.
Hmm.
When you look back at it now, and what you've accomplished now, and the happiness that you found of making those changes, getting out of the corporate world because it wasn't for you, all those things that we've talked about. When you
Hmm.
look back at it now, like, what are realizations that you have? Like, is it a realization like I should have done it sooner? Is it a realization like I can't believe and I'm glad that I was able to find this and find this avenue of happiness in my life? Like, what are some of those realizations for someone that may be struggling with taking a different change in their life, going a different direction?
Yeah, so I would never say I should have done it sooner because I
Sure.
couldn't I couldn't have done it sooner. The breadcrumbs that led me to where they had to happen in that order. I had to kind of feel close to as worst as possible to open my eyes to something that was going to be better for me.
Or else you
Um,
would have never, or else you would have never realized the situation, right?
yeah,
And I talk
yeah,
about that all the time. Like, those experiences that we experience in those moments are what's leading to wherever we're trying to get to. You have to feel that, you have to experience it, you have
yes,
to find that it's not what in whatever regard. But yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. And to like someone who might be in that position now where they feel trapped, I would tell someone it's like when you're young, if you have a parents or parental figures in your life, they're probably going to be mentoring you to be on a path. And what I've realized is they were just following the path that was likely set up for them. And we're moving into a different generation now where I feel like younger people are have the opportunities to be a little bit more independent with where they take their future. And back in our parents' generation, I don't feel like there were nearly as many opportunities and there wasn't a lot of mentorship to explore. You would basically, your parents say, go do this. You might go do that or be something related to it. It's okay to step off the path that you are on as a younger person, and it might not work out. And you know what? It's okay if it doesn't work out. You now know that the way you stepped off or the direction you stepped off wasn't the right move for you. And guess what? That's great because now process of elimination, that doesn't work. Now let's try something else. And I'm not gonna,
And
it's
one last
friggin'
point I want to
scary.
make,
Yeah.
yeah, and one last point I want to make about that too is, um, how do I word this? Like, before we wrap this up, give me
Yeah.
your last thoughts on this topic. So,
Sure.
taking others people's advice when you're going through something like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, or when you're looking to make a career change, when you're looking to insert scary life change here. I think there's power in having a circle, having a close circle that you talked about, Susan, whatever it is, close friends, whatever, and taking pieces from that and making it your own
Mm-hmm.
rather than X person did this and I'm going to do exactly what they did because that's going to get me where I need to be. What are your thoughts on that before we wrap up?
Yeah. So let's say you see someone who is really successful and you want to follow that path. That doesn't mean that they're happy. They might seem happy. Social media, what do they call it? Golden goggles or the golden lenses or whatever. Everything looks great on social media. And from the outside, everything looks great in person, but you're not in their head. You don't live their life. They could be putting on a show. We all put on shows to certain people or to everyone. So just because something looks great from your perspective on the outside, that is just your perspective. That is not what they're experiencing. And they could be happy, but so the whole don't chase money thing, that's a credo I love to live by, because when I stopped chasing money and I started indulging the things that were speaking to me and listening to the signs the universe was giving me, yeah, I took a big pay cut, but the money came later because I
Mm.
started to indulge my passions, my happiness, the things that felt very serving to me. And I went through a struggle period where I wasn't making enough money. And someone who's going to take a leap of faith, that's part of the leap of faith. You have to be okay not being successful in the beginning. You have to find your own path. You're probably going to make a lot of mistakes along the way and you're going to start pursuing money again. And I did. I started pursuing money again in fitness and I had to come back to earth. And you just got to keep coming back to what speaks to you, and it will very likely work out as long as you're not doing anything illegal.
Man, we're going to end it right there. That was
Yeah.
fantastic. Great way to end it. Vin, thank you for being,
Yeah.
transparent and honest and sharing your story. I think it could really hit with people that, have experienced it or in that phase of trying to figure out what their next life move is or whatever it is. But it's inspiring, and I appreciate the time you spent with us today.
Yeah. Pleasure to know you, Stephen. Glad to call you my friend.
You as well, my friend. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you or just connect with you from the gym? Maybe something you said they want to pick your brain on. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah. So you can walk into the gym. That's an easy one. We're on River Road in Marcy. You can email me, vin@mohawkvalleywellness.com. I got social media. I think Facebook is just Vin Cannarelli. Instagram, Vin_Chens_Cannarelli. You can go to
Awesome.
mohawkvalleywellness.com. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks again for being here, everybody. That's a wrap of today's episode of 5 with T5. Thanks for enjoying this engaging conversation. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel and Facebook page where we release all the episodes. Until next time, remember the power of connection and learning from one another is what makes our community thrive. But most importantly, remember to make an impact in someone's life today, even if that's your own. Stephen Turnbull here with T5 Insurance. We'll see you next week. Take care.